questions?
Great.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and identify ourselves. I'm Kristen Wiederhold.
I'm
Laura
Caitlin Jameson.
Laura Crittenden.
I'm Caitlin Jameson.
I'm Emmett Howard.
All right, Laura, do it.
I'm Laura Crittenden.
I'm sharing right now. And let's go to Dropbox. Content. Okay. Okay, are these the questions that you guys saw right here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so number one, how much revenue does Dropbox have?
Okay, this is the one thing. I don't know what numbers you guys use. I use the ones that magazine had estimated in 2010, and they had estimated between in 10 and 15 million. And so I went on the higher end and used the 15 million mark.
Perfect. So then based on that, if we can we all agree to go with the 10 to 15 million?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay. So then the question would be is how profitable is Dropbox?
I guess I'll jump in. I found them as profitable, which made me nervous because for some reason the way the questions were worded made me think that they wouldn't be. But I had their total revenue at 15 million, their expenses at 4.5, give or take a couple bit, and then their total profit was at 10.4.
Okay, so can we agree then that even with the loans and the amount of money that they pay to Amazon, which was not disclosed in the case,
That's where I got stuck, is trying to figure out what paid to Amazon.
Well, and it said not to include it, I think.
it's not, it's not relevant. So
Okay.
even based on that, could we agree that they are profitable?
Yes.
Yes.
Even very profitable?
Yeah, very much so.
Well, they didn't, and what made them profitable to me is when they figured out word of mouth advertising, there went a lot of their expense out the door.
A lot of it.
Yeah, that was so smart of them to do.
Yeah, paying $300 to gain a customer that's only making them 100.
Yeah.
Sense. And I want you to know that that is a common error. You know, even in my own businesses, I'm partners in a firearm website, and I've got a CEO who's our partner who runs it, who makes decisions that are so bizarre because he doesn't actually sit down and do the math.
Yeah.
You know, so
But then what I thought was interesting, think about it. If you're at $9.99, that 99 cents, when you look at Google Docs, Netflix, Hulu, all those, if they stay at the 99 cents, you get more customer base for some dumb reason.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well,
and it was nice. It was cool though. There was that whole page. It was around page 8 or something, maybe 7. But it was talking about all the expenses that all this money they had wasted. And they just cut it all. And I thought that was like, when I read that, I was like, that's the smartest business move they've made. Like, for sure, hands down, that was the smartest thing they could do. And I agree. I think a lot of businesses suffer from that.
One of the other things we identified early on is that they also ran very lean. So even though they had millions in startup capital, they still went lean, which was valuable considering it took them additional 18 months to get to market.
Oh yeah.
How many? I had another student email me. What was the total in 2010 of employees? I came up with roughly about 10.
25.
25.
Where did I miss that in the reading?
I tried to go back and find it, and I couldn't. But I distinctly remember I wrote down 25 when I was taking notes. That's what they.
Okay. All right, because that's one question I needed to ask because I could not find.
Yeah, I was operating on a different number for employees as well. So
Yeah.
One of the things though, and we covered it, that was the problem for Carbonite. was Carbonite still doing this paid advertising, and so they're running a $14 million deficit halfway through the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked like Carbonite to me is trying to get into the small business segment, not out of the position of strength, but out of the position of desperation. They need more money. They need to find someone that will pay more money for it.
But
And
go ahead.
so they had to go find someone because their costs are so high.
One of you know about
for you, Laura, really quick. It says 25 employees at second to last paragraph of page 9. Just
Let me see if there it is. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
One of the things that we know about businesses is that people, I think it's 89%. I could be off on that number, but 89% of people prefer word of mouth will try a product based on a referral. So for Dropbox to understand that referral really is the way that they need to do it, and Trojan horse, they identified the Trojan horse, which again is based on word of mouth. That is their key place.
Well, when they found that through trial and error, they tried to do the paid advertising first and like, wow, this isn't working. We're losing money.
You're right.
And so then they found that as they went through, they said, well, we really have a lot of great organic growth. It was 55% of their customer base came from organic growth. And so they realized that and said,
but then
we don't need to spend this much money on paid advertising. Well, that's not how we're growing.
Yeah, 55% of their growth is based on word of mouth.
But then they rewarded. They offered a reward program. They were just like referral program. Thank you.
Okay, so number 3, is this a problem? So based on their profitability, why and why not is this a problem?
The problem's going to be is it's so lean and simple. How are they going to take it to the next step? How are they going to keep?
I'm not sure that
how are they going to scale it? How are they going to scale it to?
How are they going to make it more profitable? If everybody's doing it, accepted the $9.99 fee, there's only so much of the market.
Well, they don't have a large amount of the market. In fact, if you remember correctly, they were ranked 5th.
6th.
Was it 6th? Excuse me.
Yeah.
They were ranked 6th. And then on the other scale, they weren't even acknowledged. So there's quite a bit market out there for them to gain. I think that their being profitable is not a problem because that's what they're in business to do.
Yeah, you're in business to make money. They're making money.
Yeah.
Good job.
The problem they run into is their pretty balance sheet. The better they do it, because they are so simple, the bigger they get, the more attractive they become to Google.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that whole proposed idea with the apps pre-installed on the phones, I thought that was a really good idea.
So I think the other I think at a personal basis, I think being profitable is awesome. I don't think that's a problem, but it could be if they decide, well, look at how profitable we are. We don't need to try to grow into other
to get
areas.
Bigger.
In which point it could become a problem. I don't think it's a problem now, but because they're so profitable, they could stay lean and they could bring in a whole nother small business segment and start tackling into that just like Carbonite did. The difference is that, small businesses are what grow the economy in the country. You have millions of small businesses are begun every year.
Right.
And when I go start my business at the end of this semester, I have a computer at my home, I have my laptop, and I have a computer in my office in my building off my shop that has all my plans and everything. And I have been looking at programs, but this is a great idea to be able to access anything I need to without carrying around a thumb drive in my shop.
Oh gosh, I won't tell you how many thumb drives I've lost.
Are you guys aware that, and I can't remember the name of the company, but a company that has a website that's anti-Trump? was just subpoenaed for their information to identify all users who said anything negative about Trump.
Wow.
To be quite honest, if I'm lucky if I catch the news.
Well, but what's key about this is that the minute you start uploading, I mean, in 2010, they may not have been looking at this, but for me, I think to myself, the minute I upload something to the cloud, it's no longer mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the internet.
That's true. Isn't that what happened with the iPhone? The government wanted them to iPhone, and the Supreme Court got in fight over breaking into people's phones.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Apple won that.
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
It's a very good thing.
This is the same. This will be the same thing.
Exactly, and I'm surprised that it isn't coming up. Okay, so number 4, should Dropbox develop a professional version to attract more valuable customers? Valuable meaning.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
They should develop something like you said, Ammon, for small business.
I mean, you could go to the enterprise section of this. You could go and target things like Google.
Yeah.
But if you target something like Google, you're just going to entice those people to go develop the stuff themselves. If you aim for the small businesses that don't have the capital and don't have the knowledge. If someone was to come to me, I mean, I've programmed a lot of the computer files that my business uses in terms of accounting and in terms of I plug in the numbers and it tells me exactly what materials I need to go buy. I've built those programs on my own, but to go do this program like they do, I don't have the time or the knowledge to go do it. I would just stick with the memory stick. But I would spend money on something like that potentially if I had a time and a reason for it. I think that should be your goal, is to go after small businesses that might be able to afford $400 a year.
That's true.
Okay, so here are also some additional questions. This is a prep to help us prepare. It's not required for us to answer. But I thought we have a few minutes, because unless there's anything else that anyone wants to talk about, we just did this in 15 minutes.
Yeah, let's talk some more.
Yeah, so if we got time, let's go ahead and talk, because it'll do nothing but help us with our submissions.
Right.
What I really liked is how they went and started with their seed money. They went and they did the Y
Combinator.
The Y Combinator.
Wasn't that a great way for the way he came up with that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then as I was reading it, it's like, okay, the business, my husband, my middle daughter, and I are starting. It's like, okay, this could fit for us.
So what do you think should be his priorities moving forward?
I think something that they could look at doing, at the end of the article, it says something like, what we're already doing, and I'll quote it because I have it right here. It says, make it big screen so I can read it.
I think I highlighted that.
We're trying to build a kind of seamless experience for the rest of the world. It's a simple idea, but very challenging to build, certainly enough to keep us busy for the next 5 years. So what they're already doing, he's like, we haven't even perfected it. Like, we have so much work to do. It's enough to keep us busy for a long, long time. So I like the idea of kind of maybe, if they have 25 people, giving, 10 people to perfecting their system and working on that seamless experience, while 15 of the other engineers start developing something for small businesses, kind of like doing a double task force a little bit to complete these missions. And not necessarily that they both have to get done immediately, but at least get things moving in that direction. Because what I would hate to see happen is that they focus on this small business idea, and then another company is perfecting this seamless experience, and then all of a sudden they're out. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Because they've tried to move so fast into one sector that they've forgotten about their existing one.
Right. I think that's an excellent idea, is to segment his staff. I mean, right here on page 6, it says 30% of engineering resources is to optimizing customer acquisition efforts. I think one of the things that's important to also notice here is that, you know, their business model was to come in real simple. I think what they're finding is that in order to compete, it has to get, it's getting very complex. Because they need to, one of the things that the statements he made is that in order to compete with Google, or to make sure that should Google decide to do this, that they can still compete, they have to get as big as possible. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is through the larger, or through companies, small businesses and big businesses.
I know, I can just tell you this much. My husband's company, and he works for a Fortune 500, they have their own server, and they cannot put anything or any of that on.
Yeah, it's usually called an intranet, but a lot of companies, a lot of mid-sized companies and smallers wouldn't necessarily have that kind of resource available. So the small business, I think, would definitely be, because for me as an individual, I don't have any need for that.
Right.
I don't travel for my business, though I will tell you, occasionally it would be nice to be able to log into my system from, you know, LA. But I think that the small to medium businesses is really where the gravy's going to be for them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Be able to go and charge an outrageous price for it either.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
What kind of math are you guys thinking about doing for your submission on this?
So I've basically got mine done, my write-up done. And so on mine, I did math that showed how I calculated revenue, how I calculated cost, how I calculated the number of paying customers in comparison to number of free customers. Then I did how much each of those chart, how much their cost was in terms of storage space for free customers compared to paying customers. And then I think that was on question on not the ones we had to do, but the ones to make you think.
That were suggested,
That were suggested. I basically did the math that it asked for there, and then I included it in as part of a comparison to carbonite and why the one was so much more profitable than the other. Is how I ended up using it.
Okay. And how helpful did you find the video on the freemium profit formula?
Not particularly.
I was gonna say I started it and I actually clicked out of it and just did it in Excel because I don't know. I just feel like we've learned that concept in all our other classes like 100 times. So
yeah.
But for my math, I did the same exact thing, and then I made a little timeline, just like to have it a little exhibit, just tracking. As I read through a case, I just like to make a timeline anyways, like by hand. I like to write the dates out of like when important things happen. Anyways, I just tracked their customers and their users and stuff and showed their growth. And then based on the average growth, I just did a projection for the next 5 years if they were to if they were to keep with the model they already have. Obviously, because I couldn't guess the numbers for if they were to do a small business. So I just did that one just to have another thing to put on there because it took me 2 seconds to do. So.
Okay. I actually also am adding in a SWOT analysis.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, to try to help beef up as far as, when we're doing analysis and making the evaluation. So I just put a box in there, with strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Because I think that right there.
Because the biggest threat, I have a Dropbox, the freebie. And I probably use Google Doc more than I use the Dropbox.
Well, Google Docs and all that stuff came in later, and it's kind of Google's response because it's not so much of a backup device, but it's a synchronization device.
Right.
So that and so that kind of is the response from Google to Dropbox. But Dropbox still has so Google then has their whatever cloud or whatever thing they use. I'm not even sure what they call it. And then they have their Google Sheets, Google Docs, all that kind of stuff. And that's
I know they're almost like Dropbox on steroids.
Yeah. Well, and it's completely free, and I already have a Gmail. I already do stuff on Hangouts. It's already right there, and it really reduces the need for me to ever get on to get Dropbox. I don't know where I don't know where the company's at now in terms of what they've done. I have no idea.
Because on my computer and my thing, I had the little box that's open for Dropbox, but I never drag and click anything in it. I should, but I never do.
I'm not aware of Dropbox. They're nowhere on my radar, but I kind of can't help but wonder. I think that Apple made an offer for them at some point. I can't help but wonder if turning away from them was the best decision, because text is just so competitive. If you can sell, it almost makes sense to do so. Okay, so you guys ready to summarize this?
Yeah, let's do it. Summary.
That's it.
Go ahead. Share what you want to share. Laura, did you have something you wanted to share?
No, I thought Ammon was going first. Sorry.
Oh, no. All right, let me go through number one. Number one, how much revenue does Dropbox have? Laura, do you want to summarize that for us?
Okay. Okay. Revenue, we said roughly was about 15 million. Hang on. Let me get to my page because I have it written. Wait, I just lost it. 15 million. We said they were a profitable company, and we used the data from the case study to come up with that.
Right. Michaela,
sorry.
Caitlin, do you want to show us? Yeah. Do you want to do number two? How profitable is Dropbox?
Yeah. Based on wages at 150,000 and 25 employees, that puts us at 3.75 million just in wages expenses. And then broken down the free user expenses and the user paid expenses. The free is roughly at 426,000, and the paid is 381,000. That puts us at total expenses at 4.5 million. Profit is 10.4 million.
So very profitable. Ammon, you want to do number three?
Yeah. Is this a problem? Yes or no, and why? Talk about both answers. Talk about how it's certainly, we don't believe it's a problem now, but it could be in the future if they don't use what momentum they've gained and they just start stagnating. This is the tech field. You can't sit still or you're dead. You've got to be changing. You've got to be innovating or it's over. We don't think it's a problem because when is it ever a problem to be a profitable company? That's the whole point of running a company. We think in the future that if they can use the momentum they've gained and the revenue, the profit that they've gained wisely, then they can build into some other sectors and other segments and improve the one that they're in, and they can expand their profitability going forward.
Exactly. Minimize their vulnerability. Excellent. Okay, number four, should Dropbox develop a version to attract more valuable customers? We decided yes, and primarily so that they're less vulnerable, so they're bringing in more income, so that if a Google should decide to come into the field, they can still be relevant and profitable. Okay, anything else anyone wants to share? No?
No.
That was a good discussion.
Right, that's it. If you would email it out and let us know when the
summary begins.
Thank you.
Yeah. What time are we meeting Thursday?
9 a.m.
9,
Pacific Standard Time.
10, 11. Hang on. Okay.
So that's 10 a.m. for me. That's noon Eastern time.
Does that still work for everybody?
Are you saying noon? Okay, 10. Okay, so it's 11 my time.
Yes.
Central time.
Do we want to just play? Oh, I guess next week we get groups. I was gonna say we could do Tuesday at the same time. I just couldn't do it today. But
guess
what?
It doesn't matter. No, I talked to the professor. That's why I was late. He's gonna try to leave our group the same. I petitioned to keep it, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said we might get 1 or 2 more people depending on how many dropped.
I guess we can talk when people get in, but I'm fine to do the same meeting time Tuesdays and Thursdays going out if we want to, but.
Okay. Well, let's see what we've got, because if we have additional people come in, that could impact, but it looks like for the rest of the semester, we're going to be doing 2 of these per week.
Yep.
So today I felt a little crunched time. I don't actually pick up. I give myself weekends. So I didn't actually pick this up until this morning.
Yeah.
So Tuesday would be great.
Yeah, Tuesday, Monday, that's tough to get this ready on Monday.
I know, because we're trying to get our arms around the week.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I was sick all weekend long, so I didn't get a chance to look at it, and then so.
I know, I didn't look at it till this morning either.
I didn't. That was me, and I'm like going through. Okay.
All right. So, sounds good.
Okay, just so I got this right. Thursday at 11 o'clock my time.
Yep. So Ammon, you're going to shoot that out. Remember, everyone needs to put this in their post poll.
Yes, not on the discussion board. It's the post poll.
Yeah. No,
sorry.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Yep, see ya.